anyway, didn't it? Okay, welcome back to the vintage cement mixer restomod. This hopefully will be the final instalment of the little trilogy. All that's left to do really is clean everything up and paint it and throw it back together. Yeah. I suppose apart from the engine, so I never actually did the little service on it. So I've got the 3 filters, fuel, oil, air to replace. I like the patina of this engine. Yeah, it does look nice. It's slightly battered form, but you know the mixer's getting a fresh coat of paint. This is going to look a bit crappy in there, isn't it? So against my better judgment, I've decided to you know, take the tin work off this and paint that, and then the rest of it. This is you know, apart from the cylinder, this is a all aluminium engine. So we'll give that a bit of a scrub and get that nice and bright. The only other thing that we've got to do on this is have a little look at the fuel line, because we do have a bit of a leak. It's not affecting the running, but it is piddling out the fuel. Not piddling, just seeping. Yeah, this is black again, but you can see it's sort of wet with fuel there. Just collected all the dust that's floating around here. So yeah, first off we'll strip this down, and you know, in the daytime tomorrow we'll try and get a few bits sandblasted and get this finished. So this is nice. I get to use my nice AF tools on something I'm doing at home for once. Eh? I spent my whole career spending silly amounts of money on you know, snap-on spanners and stuff, and because it's all AF, I only ever get to use it at, you know, at work and that. Very rare. This is a period in history, in British history, I suppose, when we'd used British Standard Whitworth up until the war, and then there were so many problems during the war, you know, technology going both ways across the Atlantic, and you know, lots of US supplied machinery coming to England, and you know, the British Army having to maintain it out in the field and that. And then afterwards it continued. We were sending a lot of jet engines over there, and you know, even entire aircraft like the Canberra, and the Canadians were building a lot of airframes that were coming over here, and vice versa. And so eventually we didn't go straight to metric, we went to AF first, or unified threads as they were called, here. Okay. And then we went metric 20 years later. There's quite a few, you know, American automakers in that as well, like Bedford and Vauxhall and Ford and that. So it sort of helped everyone out. But the long and short of it is, this English engine has American threads and spanners. And I still can't get the right one. Okay, I'm absolutely 100% dead against using paint stripper on an engine that's assembled. I mean, you're well alright doing it if you've got it in bits, I suppose. But being sand cast, there's no other really nice way of getting the paint out of the nooks and crannies on this thing, so I'm just going to use very small amounts of targeted paint stripper in a few areas. There's so much shit in there. Look. Well folks, I wasn't going to sandblast the any of the engine components. So, just going to flatten them off with the dual action sander, but then I discovered there's quite a lot of corrosion in the bottom of the fuel tank, so I poked the sandblaster inside there, did the outside, gave the outside a quick once over as well. Came up lovely, but when I poked it inside, we had some problems. Yeah, so that might have been where the fuel leak was coming from, you know. Fortunately, I have two other engines and they've both got fuel tanks on them, so hopefully one of them will be alright. But this is what would you call it, a starry night, I suppose, wouldn't you? Hey, that's what it looks like. Got the camera covered in overspray. Nice colour. Thing is, like, I ordered this paint months ago now, isn't it? It's been sat on the floor for ages. I got cellulose because it was the middle of summer when I ordered it up. It's not the middle of summer anymore. It's like the thing with cellulose paint, it loves a bit of heat, you know, and I just haven't got that in the shed at the minute. But yeah, like the colour. It's old Kubota apparently, like sort of 80s Kubota. Nice colour for an old mixer, I reckon. It looks a bit bright when it just goes on, but as it's drying, it's sort of mellowing a bit, and it's nice. It's gonna suit this mixer down to a T. I'm just doing the engine bits at the same time, isn't it? But yeah, it's a little bit tricky because it came ready to go in the gun, which is always a bit of a skank because it means they've just put a load of thinners in there, basically, isn't it? You know, I'd rather thin it down myself and get more paint, but what? Yeah, so I've not put any additional thinners in it, and I'm having to go really easy on it to avoid the runs and that. I have actually got a couple in this, but everything else has gone okay, so we'll be alright, I reckon. Just a bit tedious. Judging by the curry powder in the fuel outlet and this bleb of weld here, I don't think this tank's going to be too much better, unfortunately, which is a problem. The third tank is very nice, but that whole engine's very nice, you know, and it's all nice original Lister Petter paint, and with all the decals in perfect condition, so I'm a little bit hesitant to go pulling that one off. I mean, I will do if we have to, but yeah, oh my days. Yeah, there's all manner of wildlife and stuff in here. It looks like there's been a family of mice living in there at some point, which is odd. I don't know how they would have got in, but I think what we're looking at is a repair on the original tank. Okay, so we got the various bits of the mixer in various different states right now. There's still plenty of bits outside that are prepped for sandblasting, but you know, haven't gone any further. This is the main structure of the mixer that's had been blasted. Then I took the sander to it as well, because there's lots of flat panels. It was easy enough to get it flat, and then coat of red oxide, and then a filler prime, and then another flat off, and then another filler prime, and then what? We're just about to stick the yellow paint on it, and hopefully it'll end up like you know, like these bits here that are just drying. We've got slightly less than ideal conditions, as is normally the case around here. So she's hanging in the doorway there to keep the wind off it, and what, you know, keep most of the overspray out of the shed. But cellulose overspray isn't that bad. It's normally dry by the time it settles on anything, and it just wipes off like dust, you know. Not like 2-pack or anything like that actually still sticks to stuff when it's, you know, on the other side of a room. Yeah, anyway, let's get this painted. Okay, so with the sandblasting, I had been using the pressure washer, which it was kind of working alright. It certainly worked a bit better than the last pressure wash sandblaster, but I am trying to put quite coarse grit through it. It would work a lot better if I wasn't being greedy with the grit and was just putting fine stuff through it. But the other thing with that is it obviously ends up wet, so to reuse it I have to dry it, and I've started drying it in small batches, but it takes a lot of time to get the grit dry. So I'm afraid, rather than making one, I just got one of these cheap shitty Chinese pressure pots, little pressure blaster, which is doing a very, very good job, it must be said. I don't know how long it's going to last. How, you know, it does come with spare nozzles. This is the largest one. This is the only one that really works with this coarse glass, but they're cheap enough to buy, so I'll get a load more of the big nozzles, and it's yeah, it does that very quickly, so that's good. It's good. You've got to be a little bit careful with the ratios of, you know, air to grit, with that fine tuned, because if I have the grit all the way open, it'll clog up pretty quickly. But again, this is very easy to unclog. Just give it a little tap and it generally sorts itself out. So that's good. Yeah, and obviously the biggest benefit of this is I can just scoop up the glass and put it straight back into there. Probably shouldn't. I should probably try filtering out the detritus a little bit better than I am, but you know, it's not causing me too many issues at the moment. Yeah, wait till some of this mud finds its way in, eh? It'll be alright. There's grease and stuff on a couple of these parts as well, so yeah, who knows what will happen. But that's the grit blasting setup at the minute, and obviously we've got the whole thing in a cut open IBC. I cut the cage off one side of it, so it's still sat on the wooden pallet at the bottom, and we're just blasting in there, and it's catching most of the grit, which is great. Okay, so flat stuff, I don't know what's quicker, a coarse sanding pad or the sand blaster, but definitely on something like this, you know, that would take a long old time to get all the paint off the lettering, wouldn't it? And I've just blitzed that in a couple of minutes, you know. The pressure pot blaster is another league above the water blaster, so I suppose siphon blasters are at the bottom. They just have a tube coming straight out your sandbag, and then you got the pressure washer blasters, which are massively advantageous in that you can use a cheap old pressure washer rather than an expensive compressor. But if you've got a few CFM behind a compressor, I mean quite a few, 10 at least I would have thought, that pressure pot blaster is another step up again. Yeah, I really wish I'd got one in the first place, to be honest. But you know, or made a bigger one, you know, whatever, I don't mind, it's okay. Yeah, but you know, very quick. Anyway, I've got enough bits painted up now that it sort of makes sense for me to stick some wheels on what I've got, and that way I can roll it around the workshop floor and keep it out of the way, can't I? Yeah, so let's start reassembling. I've not even got everything cleaned off yet, let alone painted, but you know, there's bits all over the place hanging.
Allowing him time to get ahead of them and launch an attack from the front when they turned to investigate. 5 minutes later, he decided.
Right, now's the time, folks. We're going to flip her over and get weight on these wheels for the first time ever. Okay. Yeah. For how this is going to go. Hope you don't scuff the paint up too much. Perhaps might have been an idea to tidy the floor up a bit. Some wheels that go over anything. Oh yeah, we got a chair there. Look out. Look out, lads, there's a chair in the way. There we go. Oh, look at the wheels on that mixer. Well, there's some weight to her already, you know. There we go. There we go. There we go. Oh, hello. Hello, fresh paint. Hello, fresh paint. Oh, there. So we need a bit more, folks. Need a bit more. Weight on the ground. Weight on ground. There's switches on retractable aircraft. Weight on ground switches. Everyone used to call them WOG switches. Not allowed to anymore. I think this is the first time I've ever had sexual feelings about a cement mixer before, folks. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, those tyres. What lovely tyres they are. I mean, they're perfect. I mean, I wouldn't want to tow a trailer with those tyres on, but they're bloody lovely on a cement mixer, aren't they? That yellow, I thought it was going to be a bit leery, but you know what? Fuck it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Filler primer, totally worth it. I haven't gone over the top of it. It's not like a glass finish. You can still see a little bit of pitting through there, but it's not totally fucked. God, ooh, yeah, cement mixer. Okay, so recently I had to get another tin of red oxide primer. This time I got a PPG product. I'd always just bought, like for my own stuff at home, I'd just bought the cheapest red oxide primer I could find, you know. Whereas, you know, on the aircraft or other bits of painting that I've done and had to charge people for, like I always, you know, put more money into the primer and sometimes in the top coat. So we'd use a nice epoxy primer, very rarely filler primer on aircraft, but if I had to I'd use one of the better quality 2-packs available from the motor factors, because I really think that the primer's probably more important than the top coat other than aesthetics. Either way, I had quite a few problems with my last batch of cheap red oxide that I used on the dump truck, and that it's starting to lift off things like the seat and that, and you can see quite clearly that it's the cohesion of the primer itself. So it's stuck to the metal, and then I've put the top coat on, and you know, I'll get a big sheet of the top coat come off with some of the primer on the top coat and some of the primer on the well, I mean both the bottom side of the top coat and the seat still have a consistent layer of primer on them, which means that it's the primer itself that's separated either way. Can't have that happening again, so basically I'm trying to pretend that it wasn't my bad prep work, so which is why I spent like an extra tenner on the tin of paint and got this, which is surprisingly cheap for a PPG product. Like PPG make a lot of aerospace stuff. They make the PRCs, so all the fuel tank sealants that I sometimes use on wet wings if I have the misfortune of having to work on them. And they used another stuff like sealing windows and that, basically rubberized epoxies, all made by these guys. And so far, so I don't know what that actually worked out. I can't know. I think it was about 35-40 quid a tin, as opposed to the very cheapest stuff, which would have been about 25-30 quid a tin. I think. I'm not sure. I think. But yeah, I am very happy that I spent the extra money on this. Either way, it's a dark red colour, red oxide, as you probably know. This is a particularly dark shade of dark red, and fortunately the filler primer is a light grey, and now even the bits that I don't really want to put filler primer on, like some of the castings that have lettering on them, so I want to leave them. I'm still putting a coat of filler primer on just so that I get a consistent yellow coming through, because the lighter the colour is of your top coat, like the more careful you have to be about what colour your primer is, basically. Normally when you're putting black on something, just fucking throw it on whatever you like, you know. Anyway, that's what I'm doing, you know, very exciting, I'm sure. Oh. Mon petit péteur. Okay, so I did tell you all that I'd finished welding on this cement mix, so I'm just meant to be painting and putting it back together on this episode. But obviously I have not. So the drum tipper wheel, you can see separated there, and I don't know how this happened. I think it must have just been a bad weld in the first place, or you know, there's a significant tension on that weld from making the other welds, because there's no distortion on the hoop, and it's incredibly heavy. Like, yeah, it's obviously been fine with just the other two spokes intact. I mean, I don't know when it broke. Maybe I did it when I was moving the mixer around, when I tipped it over. Right. I don't think so though, I don't think it hit here. But either way, I'm just going to put another weld, I'm going to grind it back and put another weld on that. Then one of you were switched on enough to remind me that I hadn't put a handle on the lid of this mixer. I did leave a little bit of a flare on that lower edge. I think I'll get my fingers underneath that, but I do want a little handle on that. So we're just gonna stick. This is the engine cover. Obviously, I've got to lift it up every time I want to start and stop the mixer. We'll just bend up a little handle for that. Make it nice and heavy, because we should do, shouldn't we? And the other thing, actually, well, I've got no provision for my starter handle either, so you know, that's what I need to figure out a little place I can just drop this into. So that'll probably go in the lower section of the engine cover. the piece that doesn't swing up and down. Hopefully I can lift the engine cover up and pull my handle out and start the engine, pop it back in, shut the lid, mix my pug up. My pug? My muck, whatever, concrete. Whatever I'm mixing, might not be concrete in there, eh? Yeah, alright, let's do those bits. Okay, so I'm at a point now where the only thing I've got left to tidy up is this drum. I've done half of it with the twisted knot cup on a little air grinder. I have to use this grinder because it's the only thing I've got that will fit this knot cup. I don't have any other wire cups for my bigger electric grinders, which is a shame because I've just started developing problems with my compressor. And I don't really want to have problems with my compressor at the minute because I absolutely definitely need it for what? For painting, yeah. Which again, I was having problems with the compressor. Rules out using the sandblaster unless I use pressure washer, which I could do. I could set that up again, go back to using the pressure washer. Or just find another way of cleaning up this drum with, you know, the electric tools that I've got. So I'll probably use the sander with a coarse pad for now until I find something tricky that I need to work around. But yeah, a little bit annoying. That compressor is less than a year old, probably about 6 months old, and it's making the pressure. It's working very hard to do it and getting very hot. So I suspect there's something wrong with either rings or the little valves in the cylinder heads. It's got little sheet metal valves, you know, petal valves. I think they're petal valves. I can't remember what you call them on a two-stroke. I'm sure it's petal valves. Anywho's, a little bit annoying. Yeah, either way, such is life. I've not long had this engine crane. I picked it up a few weeks ago. Pretty much still in the same condition, and I was adamant I'd fix the seals in it before I brought it into the shed, but I've, you know, like everything else, just not got around to it, and the result is a colossal amount of fluid getting by the piston with every stroke. Oh well. This has got a nice big hide tank on it. Sweet. Okay, so as you may or may not have gathered, the cement mixer is very much finished, and look at it in all its glory. There wasn't Kubota yellow I was using. I think that must have been on my short list. If they even have a yellow, maybe it's an orange, I don't know. This is actually a Ralco paint, rapeseed yellow. I think it's called something else over in the States, isn't it? Yeah, it gets a seal of approval from young Morris. I don't really know what to say. It's done. It's finished, folks. Yeah, there we go. The lovely mixer, and now we can carry on and start filling in some of the other pieces of the puzzle. Make a bit of progress. The horizontal works on the bunker. All right. Okay. So I guess that's it. The wheels seem to be very good at the moment. The extra width, you know, I mean, it's not at all tippy now, and they're rolling beautifully. It's quite a heavy mixer. It's not ridiculously heavy. Is it, Morris? No. And what? Yeah, these are they're not good quality rubber, but they're certainly a lot thicker and more puncture resistant than wheelbarrow tyres. So I'm happy I went with this. These trailer wheels, even if they did cost a few quid. Didn't get the inside of the drum that clean. You can see there the hubs sealed up with blue Hylamar. The drum still got a little bit of muck on it. You know, I got rid of most of it, but and what I think I'm still going to have to put quite a lot of grease. I greased everything. He's here. He's just down here. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure I'll be pumping more grease into it for quite some time until it's all filled up the cavities and whatnot. Felt came out nice at the back here. Can't see it at the moment, but yeah, that worked okay. Should have put some red paint on this stuffer cap, whatever it is, grease cap. All right, okay, let's go. Okay, I'll catch you all later, folks. Yeah, cheers.